Girls Frontline 2 Exilium is a sequel to Girls Frontline. It's a 3D strategy tactical turn-based game with a focus on making the right moves and not dying. People rave about the story of Girls Frontline, and actually, I'm kind of intrigued about Girls Frontline 2 and plan on playing it myself. The game fully comes out on December 3rd. I'm really excited about checking out the music today because music in a turn-based tactical RPG game is going to be very important. First up is the prologue trailer, The Flames of War Reignited. Wow. Well, I mean, visually, this is stunning. And what's really cool about the way that this starts in the beginning, actually, is we get this Philip Glassian repetitive kind of spinning in circles. And to me, that really means that we're in a constant flux. Everything is always happening over and over and over. War never changes. War is always the same. There's an idea there of obviously this character is floating in the sky, in the air, falling backwards. And there's a sense that there's a constant feeling of things never being able to change. It's almost like being suspended in midair. That's what that sounds like. And we get that beautiful woodwind sound, especially right here in it sounds like flutes and clarinets. Clarinets and strings. And then we get this beautiful vocal that comes in. And again, that ethereal voice feels like the voice of that particular character. And on top of that, we get this beautiful visual of this nuclear bomb that goes off. I mean, it's really impressive, and visually this is actually extremely stunning. And one of the things that I find really particularly fascinating about this is that we're using a vocal quality in there that's really dialed back. The vocal quality being so dialed back actually feels like, man, we're constantly in a war, we're constantly in a conflict. There's almost a desire to want for peace, but peace is not possible to find in this environment. And so that ethereal singing lends itself to this idea of being trapped in a constant perpetual spinning motion of something that we want to release from and can't. I also find it interesting that visually here, of course, we get this really powerful imagery of the headshot and the splatter. And then over here, we get the visual of all the girls in a circle together, sort of like trying to embrace themselves, embrace the fact that, you know, they are objects of war. Their intended purpose is to fight, right? And even this nuclear blast, I mean, it looks like a tree. It looks like, you know, this whole idea here is that of perpetual constant motion and not being able to change. I know I've said that 4 times, but I do think it's a valid thing. Wow, so we get just such a front-loaded message of femininity in this vocalism. I also really, really, really like the underlying beat pattern, which is pretty subtle, just kind of this sort of underscoring of this beat that is kind of flowing and guiding us through this entire piece. And really, hasn't been a climax. This prologue trailer is only 2 minutes, and yet really we're a minute in, and we just now are turning the corner on a shift musically. But all of this has really been light, airy, feminine, gentle, very emotional singing. It's really reflective. It talks about a conflict, but it doesn't really feel like it's it's certainly not directly talking to us about a conflict, but it does feel like it's referencing it. You know what I mean? I mean, it's very beautiful, and its simplicity is what really drives that message home of elegance and of peace and wanting to erase the past or change the way that things are and not being able to do that because of XYZ conflict in the game itself, right? And then there is that climax there where all of a sudden we actually go up and then we resolve down and then boom, and then there's a switch right here, which is really evocative, I think. Stretching out here. Wonderful shift into a new section with this chorus. See, but even that, don't you hear how that is such a longing sound? That is a sound of desperation, desire, loss of right? And on top of that, we have this stunning choir that I think is the voice of the other dolls, the other characters in this trailer. And I find it interesting that we pivot from that, especially when you consider that the first half of this has all been solo singing, and again, very personal, very introspective, very intimate with oneself. And now we add this choir, which does a great job of ever so slightly backing up that solo experience, but to shift back into that melancholic melody, it's very evocative, like I mentioned earlier, but in this case, it's evocative of a feeling of innocence lost. That's so beautiful. I mean, visually, I mean, it's like insanely striking, actually, and also too, something that's really delightful is that the entire time we've always had that, and again, what is that? That's like, that feels like a wave. That feels like a wave that's sort of washing us and keeping us afloat, keeping us moving, not being able to go backwards because we have that constant undulation. I never thought that I would connect Girls Frontline 2 with Philip Glass, famous classical music minimalist composer, but that's there. And that forward momentum and that constant rhythmic motion really guides the piece in such a wonderful way, because it also blurs into the background. So unless you're isolating it and listening to it, you're not going to think about it. And that's really effective, fantastic writing, where that is actually the forward drive, but we have so much legato singing, especially right? We have that coupled with this forward moving sound in the rhythm, and it's a beautiful blend of legato and rhythmic propulsion. Also, I mean, right in here, I just noticed it. There's also a bit of a ticking clock sound, which is really effective as well. There's this constant feeling of like time is running out, and that makes sense if we see the nuclear blast, But again, this free falling idea, really, this whole piece has just been about free falling, but free falling with almost like, obviously there's remorse and melancholy and a desire for change or what have you, but there's really a feeling of like saying farewell to this life, and it's beautiful. Notice that rhythmic thing again. Terrific lower bass notes in here as well. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's stunning. I don't know anything about Girls Frontline or Girls Frontline 2. I want to play them now because of having watched that. I mean, that's interesting to me. The dark sci-fi cybernetic qualities in that are very, very, very cool. It seems to me like there's a focus on character, which is, I mean, really important in these types of games. Obviously, these games have their own systems and their own mechanics and their own specific things that are similar. But what's different here is that this feels very hearted and rooted in something that's actually deep and actually connected to like a very, very, very legitimate emotional space, which is nice to hear and see. Let's check out the prologue CG and gameplay showcase, because I'm curious about this. Oh, that's a cool style. Some interesting horns in the background too. Heavy emphasis on those right there. Strings, floats through the air. Obviously, she's dangerous. Dun 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 dun. That's how we're getting that rhythmic movement in there. This brass pressing in sort of danger. Something really subtle that makes that more interesting too is ba 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 da ba da ba 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 da. That little brass lick motif, I guess, or that melodic pattern, more likely is the correct term for that, is actually really evocative, and that's where the danger comes in. You have the boom 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 boom. That's cool. Oh, sick. I mean, what an incredible musical gesture there. That sort of white voice Bulgarian folk singing thing is always really incredible no matter where you hear it. And in this particular case there too, it just really stands out as something that's primed for danger and extremely exhilarating to listen to. That's a very, very small motivic and melodic gesture, and yet it's incredible how that can cause such a feeling of stress, concern. It's a little bit nightmarish. This is clearly a do or die moment for this crew. It's very effective. I assume now we get combat. Okay. That's cool, because even this, obviously there's the really heavy electronic bass, the bass, but even still, we still get that's the melodic pattern that carries us through what I'm assuming is probably like, well, this video is 5 minutes, but probably like a several minute battle. And that's important because that keeps the adrenaline for us, and it keeps that feeling of drive that like, hey, this is a serious battle, and in order to get through to the other side, you have to fight. Right? Like, we need that. If this was peaceful, it wouldn't make sense. Okay, a little bit of cymbals. Oh, interesting. Okay, so this is straight up tactical RPG kind of stuff. Okay. Oh, it looks cool. Interesting. Now we get this really like mechanical string Arhu style instrument. Da, 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 da. Oh. Alright, what's this? I'm amazed at how gritty it looks. See, now it's interesting how even a piece like this now develops into something. Now we've got strings underneath. We have this interesting electric Arhu style sound. We still have that beat pattern that we heard before, kind of driving us along, but the main emphasis here is this Arhu, the strings, and then of course that bass. So it's interesting how even a simple little battle theme, and certainly this is like the first battle theme you hear, so it's kind of important. It's fleshed out in a way that it still goes somewhere, even though it's subtle and under the surface, which I think is something that most people don't really talk about because we're spending time fighting. We're not thinking about how the music is impacting us. You know what I mean? Bit of a key change there. Key change. Or not key change, but big chord shifts. Yeah, you definitely hear dire straits and like, you know, taking action, conflict, fear. Okay, they're surrounded. And then we pull away from that, and now we still get that melody. I love the drive underneath though. What? Okay. Whoa. Must be like an ultimate power, I guess. I really like this sound. I love how like crunchy it is and how connecting it is to the environment itself, because the environment looks really, you know, bleak. There's paper strewn all over the place. It's obviously dangerous. I wonder what the story's like. Darture really doesn't like these people, the dolls. Big shift here. She's unleashing something. Wow. There's that chorus again. Oh man, that's so cool. So this could symbolize the power of this character, you know, with her like whatever superpower or weapon. Wow. Wow. I mean, that chorus is so good. I'm very intrigued. I'm very intrigued. The last thing I wanted to take a peek at is the main theme for the Sojourners of the Glass Island, which is one of the events that is coming when the game releases. Okay, super subtle right off the bat. Again, love heavy beat there. That heartbeat. It's clearly dangerous, and it's like a shadow world. Feels, again, super bleak. The way the strings move like that is like indicating just an abundance of stress and tension. Shum, bum, 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 bum. Again, rhythmic. I mean, you don't want it to be boring. And it's actually slowly crescendoing here. Nice simple horn melody, trumpet melody. Oh no, those are the trombones actually. Now you have the piano and electric guitar. Now we have some unison movement. But it sounds like a low string. That's cool. I mean, you hear how that melody's working in there? Ba-ba ya da 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 da. Oh, it really builds. This is the peak here with the chorus, and everything's in unison. Nice piano accents. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, you know, most people are not going to spend too much time in a main menu like that. It just goes to show how important it is for all aspects of a game to highlight music and highlight emotion and highlight stakes, especially in a game like this where it's clearly, you know, very focused on like safety and fighting for what's right and protection, and clearly there's guns involved and you know, we're at war. We want to always feel stressed, but it's also cool because it's not just loud and bombastic. We actually have some nuance in this, which makes it, I think, more effective and more interesting. And also it's actually like, it's just gorgeous. I mean, it's just gorgeous music. No one can write this off because quality wise, it's very, very beautiful and evocative of an emotion, and it makes us feel connected to either the characters or certainly it just sounds really good. And I think that's worth celebrating and worth pointing out. Those of you that already played Girls Frontline, I know that you're excited for Girls Frontline 2, and maybe you want to try this game out. There's a link in the description and in the about section. I certainly am going to be trying it. Yeah, I mean, it's the music's awesome. Thanks a ton, everybody, and I'll see you later.